It's like all that never happened. So you mean in relationship to the case study or just in general?
The question was, what's a competitive advantage? Right? Yeah.
So from the case or just in general? I don't know.
So it starts out, begin the recording, and then it's like, give a quick synopsis of the case, and then case facts, what is the issue, and why is that important? And then it says, define a competitive advantage. And then the next question is, what is the RIT's competitive advantage?
Oh, okay.
So was the main issue the deciding between the 7-day orientation? Was that what it was?
That's what I thought it was.
That's what I thought too, yeah.
It was the whole 21 days of getting ready. They wanted more time. They thought 21 days wasn't enough.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that quick 7-day countdown. That's the question. Do we do that or not?
I liked their 7-day countdown. I thought it was cool. I mean, if you can afford that time and money to do that, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lindsay. I thought if they can do all that in 7 days and have them like ready to go and acting like world class, why not?
Yeah. I like what he said. He said, you know, with adults, it's hard to change their behavior or something like that unless it's like a strong emotional thing. And so I thought that was interesting. Like, that's what they're going after, you know, because it's true, you know, it's hard to change your ideals and perception as you get older and stuff.
Yeah.
You have to have a really good ability to hire. I mean, I'm assuming that the people that are applying have already had skills in those areas. Is that kind of your take on that? Because if I was going in for the first time, I don't know, would a week be long enough for the average person to learn how to do their nails and their hair and look impeccable and remember all the stuff you're supposed to remember?
Well, so like it goes through that rundown of hiring, and like they start out where he gives the cards to other servers in other restaurants, and he's like, "Hey, here's an application." So he kind of scouts them out. It looks like, and then they talk like in the one exhibit, it goes through like all the little you know, it shows them like how the manager has to send a letter, and then they have to do something else, and so I think that once they hire, they still have context before that 7 days. So I think they have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. I don't think it's just the initial 7 days. It looks like there's some pre-stuff.
Well, the fact that it worked before and they're successful, I mean, would you change something that was successful?
I'm not inclined to fix things that aren't broken myself.
Yeah.
So I'd probably leave it.
Seems like they probably had it laid out to make sure that they were hiring people that had certain skills. You know, and that's the way they would weed through them. I'm sure they know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I bet, you know, with that 7-day orientation, you know, if they already had those skills, they probably worked in other places and weren't treated. It sounds like Ritz, like, I almost was like, maybe I should go get a job there. It sounds like they treat their employees really good, you know, and you don't get that very often. So if they already are a server somewhere, you know, they probably have these, you know, rundown managers or whatever, and then they go to the Ritz and they're treated just as good as the guests, and it's like, oh, you know, you'd want to work harder.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it seems like it's this one hotel in Washington, right? Because it's this multiplex thing, and the new company's like, well, we don't know if that's going to be enough, and it's like it's worked everywhere else in the world. They've done it.
Yeah.
So you have like, yeah, what is the issue? Which that's pretty much the issue. Why is it important? It says, hint, understanding all aspects of a complex system failure will help prevent future failures.
What were the failures? I didn't. I read these things and I'm like, these guys sound like they're stellar companies. I mean, it sounds like they're doing all the right things. They're focused on the clients or their guests. They're focused on their employees. They are trying to be top notch. So I didn't. Once again, I'm looking at this like I don't really see what the issue is. That Ritz-Carlton is doing anything wrong. They are service oriented, you know. That's their focus. And they're treating their employees well. I'm sure, you know, do they need team building? I don't see that they need any team building.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is, so I'm not sure why they're worried about. I don't know what any of the problems are either, so I'm not exactly sure why they're worried about a failure on the 7-day thing causing a future failure. But what do you guys think?
I know. What about you, Brian? You're the businessman.
I think they're doing a great job. This McBride guy, he's the one pushing for it because they've spent $700 million. So I think he feels like he needs to have some input. He's one of the Millennium Partners. But like you guys said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's a worldwide best practice for Ritz-Carlton. The only way you improve a best practice that has a timeline is to shorten the timeline, I would think. I'm not sure lengthening it would cost more money, and maybe they'd be a little bit better trained, but they're only opening it. Don't they open at like 50% occupancy and then they work their way up?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the issue because they want to open at 80% instead of 50.
Oh. Well, that makes sense then. I didn't catch that part.
But would changing it really, like, do you think they could just start out at 80%, like, with what they already do?
I think they might be a little overwhelmed, but it's like if you have training for longer, aren't you kind of starting to beat a dead horse? Like people would be like, all right, you know, like we've done this, you know. It's almost like you need to get into it, but I don't know how. Did they hire 400 people? I couldn't really see how much they ended up hiring.
Yeah, I think it was about 400.
400.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's this on page 16, the very top. It says, the first month of operations, we may open a hotel with 50% occupancy, but then we'll increase occupancy monthly, so it takes us somewhere between 3 and 4 months to reach 80%. But we hire in the very beginning as if we're already operating at 80%. So now, like, then when you get to the dilemma, it says that Collins questioned whether 7 days limited the hotel's ability to open at a higher occupancy rate and reach 80% in a shorter amount of time. So the Millennium people want to like start at 80% faster.
They want to get money right away. They want to start making like because doesn't he say like they lose so much money if they don't have it filled to a certain amount or so much amount that they lose?
Yeah, and it's a highly perishable product. Once those days are gone, they can't get them back. So that's a lot of days. A lot of occupancy they're missing out on the first 3 months.
So here's my thing, though. If it says that they open a hotel at 50% occupancy, but they hire in the very beginning as if they're already at 80%, what's the problem?
Well, they're striving for perfection. It's hard to get perfection in 7 days of training. But even if they trained for 14 days, there's a big difference between training and working on the job.
I agree.
I think the way they're doing it's a much better way to get the employees get their feet wet and have them. Like he said somewhere we can train them to do their job, and then we build them for speed or something like that. So it takes a while to get up to speed.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm thinking most of these people that are coming in, they must most likely, wouldn't you think that most of them are already in the what do they call it? In this, you know, they're people that are busboys, or they're people that, you know, clean rooms and things like that, or maybe some of them house cleaning. That could be anybody just off of the. I can get a job house cleaning. What I'm trying to say. So I would think maybe they need more training just for the people that are going to be in direct contact with. I don't know. We see people from house cleaning when we go to the hotel, and sometimes we need more towels or we need more toilet paper. So, you know, and I guess they have to behave a certain way or act a certain way, or either they're working with people that already know the industry and know what the expectation is, because I would think you'd need more time if you were bringing somebody in, you know, totally new to it.
Well, how many days does it take to create a habit? Because what they're trying to do is instill a habit. I mean, they're teaching them how to act, how to speak. And I think that's part of that 3-month process of getting up to full speed. You know, you're not born being able to run. You got to walk first, and that's what they're trying to help these guys do. Even if you've worked in the industry. For example, I worked for another insurance company, and then I came to State Farm, and man, it is way different. Even the same industry.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
And I think Ritz is, I mean, they're up here. You know, if you worked at Holiday Inn and you go to Ritz, it's going to be a totally different. It doesn't matter whether you're cleaning rooms; it's still going to be a totally different way of doing it, I'm sure.
Totally different.
That's true.
So you have to learn the culture of whatever company that you're, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what that 3 months is buying them. It's the time to learn that culture, that you get up to speed. So when they're at
But
8,
they're not getting 3 months, right? The employees are only getting a week, or is that?
well, they get a week, and then they're operating at 50% occupancy for the next 3, or you know, working up to the 80%, kind of the timeline.
Yeah, it's like cram for opening day and then work your way up. Cramming for the final and then keep going. Okay, so then it just says to define the competitive advantage. And then it says what is the Ritz competitive advantage?
Impeccable service.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're owned by a member, so that's got to be an advantage, right?
Think they have Book of Mormons in the nightstand drawer?
I'll
You
bet
know,
they
I
do
think
now.
they do.
But they do it at all the Marriotts, but I'm in Utah, so what do I know?
Every Marriott I ever stayed in had them.
Yeah,
I've
but
only stayed in one, and that was in Utah.
I didn't realize until I read this that Marriott owned Ritz-Carlton. Yeah.
All right, so the next question is service. Let's see. Service can be an elusive concept. What is the essence of the Ritz-Carlton experience?
I think the essence of the experience is that you're stepping into a whole nother time, don't you think? Well, not a time. I didn't mean that. I mean, when you're at home or you're other places, you know, it's not you're treated as a lady or a gentleman, you know, but like you are treated like royalty, you know, and it's like, I'd pay for that just for a day, you know. How nice would that be? Oh, hello, you know. What can I do for you? Here's a pillowcase with your monogram name on it. It's like, oh, thank you.
Hey, Brandon.
So service then, right?
Yeah, I would say like service is definitely there, but it's like saying that service is an elusive concept. So the essence of their service. So I think it's like what Lindsay's saying. Like you're walking into a situation where you're instantly pampered, right?
Hello.
Like,
Hey,
Brandon.
Brandon.
We hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you breathing.
that
What do you mean that means? Sorry.
You're creeping us out.
was awesome. So I think it's like what Lindsay was saying though, where the essence is that you're being pampered, right? Like a whole different thing than walking into where you rent your own house or you walk into what, a Motel 6 or a truck stop or something. I mean, right? I mean, in one hotel you're getting pampered, and in another hotel you are just staying the night.
Well, it's like Chick-fil-A, right? They say it's my pleasure when they give you your chicken nuggets, and you're like, your pleasure, but it still makes you feel really good, So I think it's just those small little things, because they ask like, can I enter your room? Can I do this for you? It's been my pleasure. Things like that. Just like the fine-tuned things that make the experience just one step above the normal things you get.
Yeah, I agree. So I read like an article one time, or part of an article. It's called The Last 3%, and it talks about how like anyone can set the table, but it's like the little touches, like the napkins and the salt and pepper, and like the little details that make the difference. So it's the last 3% of your effort makes a huge difference on the experience. Like you can write a letter, but it doesn't do any good until you take the last 3% and put the stamp on it and lick the envelope and send it. So kind of that kind of thing, like they seem to focus on that, like the last little bit of the details that the other hotels they've given up on, right? Like the manners and the little things.
That's cool. I like that.
So you shouldn't use spit on the envelope. You should use like mineral water or something.
My kids would like that better on tithing envelopes. They hate licking them. But like essentially, I think that's what they're selling, because then it says, "What is the Ritz selling?" is the next question, and I would say the Ritz is selling that, like the last 3% of effort, right? They're selling that tiny little bit of extra step, the extra mile. Because like I said, you could go stay at a hotel that's more like a trucker's stop, and you're going to get a room for the night, and it'll probably get cleaned, but you're not going to be treated as a lady or a gentleman. Like, you're not going to have that pampering. So I think that's what they're selling, is that last little bit of detail.
Impeccable service.
Yeah.
So the next question, it says, how does Ritz create ladies and gentlemen in only 7 days? Describe with examples how they do it specifically.
Ugh. Well,
We are done this semester.
they put marbles in their mouth, and they say, the rain in Spain has made me in the plain.
And they do scoop, smear when they wave at you.
Oh, they have to do the personal grooming, right? They take them and show them how they get their. They have training in personal grooming. That was interesting.
Oh, how did I miss that part?
Yeah, I didn't hear that. See that?
I think
that, huh?
Was that in an exhibit, or was that in the story?
Yeah, that was in the reading, because I can't come up with that stuff on my own.
I
Sorry.
think
Oh,
part of it is showing that
Really, really small, so I've got to take me a minute to find it.
I think one way they do it is in that, in the 7 days, like it's where like the management and the people that have already worked for the company come in and treat them the same way, like how they said all the employees get a warm welcome and a fond farewell. So I think part of the way they create the ladies and gentlemen in 7 days is that they treat their employees that way from the beginning.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how the managers lined the stairs as all the employees walked in. That's really cool. And then how I think there was one example where one server was doing something wrong or not doing it how they wanted it to, and the owner, what's his name? Steve something?
Schultz.
Oh, Schultz, yeah.
He stepped in and did it, and then like everyone was like, oh, let's pay attention. No, he's doing it, so it, I feel like there was like no nothing was beneath anyone, right? Everyone was in it together. There wasn't any like hierarchy, really. Essentially, it seemed like they were a team, and I think that was helpful. But I don't know how that makes someone ladies and gentlemen. But
Yeah, they're
I
kind of
think
they're mirroring.
Good.
They're setting the example, and then the employees are mirroring it. So if they're behaving that way, then they can't, say that that's not the expectation, or say, well, even the upper guy is doing this stuff. Because then they said they watched a video in which Schultz and others described the hotel's founding history and all the values and the, awards and things like that, and so they know right up front what the expectation is.
Yeah, I think the example has a lot, like how, like you said, with the owner that comes in, Lindsay, and like did it. Like I just think about my kids. Like they think they can do anything we do. Like their excuse is, well, Dad did it, so if Dad can do it, then we can do it. And so you watch that. So I think a lot of it is just the example of like how they hire the general manager and they bring the people in, and then they have a few people that have come from other hotels, like their star employees or whatever they bring in, and then they mirror, like you guys said, they mirror it because it's just like kids. I mean, if you don't if it takes an adult that long to change your behavior, I mean, look at what we do to mirror for our kids to get them to do it.
yeah, totally. Good point.
I'm still looking for the haircuts. I know I read that.
I do remember you saying that they talk about like the grooming. Let's see.
Maybe it's just, treat others as you'd want to be treated. Maybe just by everyone, by them treating them with such high respect as we've been saying,
Mhm. I like on page 12 where it says where they tell the employees, they're like, you are not servants, we are not servants, but our profession is service. And we should, like it says, you are not servants, we are not servants, our profession is service. We are ladies and gentlemen just as the guests are, who respect us as ladies and gentlemen. We are ladies and gentlemen and should be respected as such.
Nice.
Hey, Brandon.
Oh, hey guys.
Welcome back.
Hey D, what you're looking for is on page 15. First paragraph under day 3, week 7.
So I was right.
You just read that case study in like 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'm just trying to speed read.
Holy crap, it took me like over an hour. I was so bored. On the recording.
Yeah, uniform fittings, personal grooming, and employees are introduced to the daily lineup procedure.
Oh, really?
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then they said back on page 14, they talked about they share with them what they dream about, what they wish for, their heart and soul. They ask them to join in their mission. I guess that's the same type idea.
They act like friends.
Well, people have a right to work on a purpose, and it says the chairs that you're sitting on are doing work. If you don't give your employees a purpose, you make them chairs. If you just send them to work without a purpose, it's immoral. So they make people feel good about their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think to have a purpose would be, like I haven't worked for a while, but like I just look at it in callings. Like I've had some callings where I'm like, what is my purpose? Why am I even doing this? I've had people like on an enrichment committee or something, like they give me something to do and then they do it themselves. Like if you don't have a purpose, I was like, I'm done, I'm out. Why should I even waste my time with this? So to give the employees a purpose probably really does help, because otherwise you're either doing it because you have to do it so you can get a paycheck, or you're not really doing it.
don't have a purpose, you're not really progressing.
Right. Brandon, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here, trying to figure
All right.
out which question we're talking about.
We are on the next one. The next one we are on is the how would you describe the leadership and values of the Ritz? And describe the strengths and weaknesses. That's the one we're on.
Okay, perfect. So how would you guys do that? Tell us, Dee. Tell us.
Like I said, I don't know what I don't know what the weakness would be in their leadership. I don't see any. I don't see any chips in their armor.
Let's see.
I mean, the strength is that they focus on their employees. They build them up. Oh, they try to make sure that they have the training and that they have a career path. That's really great, is to be able to offer opportunities. I mean, the one guy started as a dishwasher, and he was able to move up. Some people, I guess, go in thinking it's a start-out job, and some have been there for years because then they move up to be a manager. So that's one big thing about being a good manager or a good leader, is providing growth and promotion.
So you feel like the Ritz offers opportunities for all of its employees to progress and grow as leaders?
Yes. That was more succinct than how I put it.
No. I guess the weakness would be is, would you provide? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like the Ritz's situation, as if, since they are such a high-class hotel, if they have to provide all their employees with all the opportunities of growth, as like, so they'll hire a lot of new employees, but do they have enough positions to allow all their employees to grow within the Ritz-Carlton Hotel? Maybe that could be a weakness.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I like
How are you supposed to promote 400 people into management?
Yeah.
Well, and like, how do you hire someone as the dishwasher that's motivated enough to want to move up to be like general manager? Like, you must have a really good compensation package, right?
Hopefully not everyone wants to be in those, those leading positions or the positions in front of others. There's some that don't like that stuff.
Right.
Did you guys think it was a problem? Are we not? And maybe that's a question, but I felt like it was weird the Four Seasons would be in the same complex as it. Or am I totally switching subjects?
I don't even know what the difference is between Four Seasons and. Come on, I'm referring to Motel 8, so I don't really know what the difference is between the two.
Just two competing companies. They're the both same high-class service hotels, but they're just two totally competing companies. But sorry, I didn't mean to switch gears.
No, you're fine.
Well, no,
I think that's the problem.
If you look at there's a chart down below that compares the two different hotels on page 18. And it kind of compares their daily rates, the average, compares their occupancy rate, and it seems like Ritz-Carlton has better occupancy than the Four Seasons. But the Four Seasons shows that it has higher revenues.
I wonder what their price point difference is. Is it similar or different? Sorry, I didn't. Is that even one of the questions on the waiter thing?
Um,
Probably isn't. That was just my random thought.
no, that's a good thought though.
I don't know. Like sometimes I read these things and like, where's the problem? You know, I'm trying to like find stuff there's not even a problem and make it into a problem.
Yeah, 'cause I need 3 problems at least.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm always creating problems.
Like, oh, this guy seems tired. He might be a little ornery. You know, it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we could say that that's a weakness because, I mean, I guess they're not as profitable as some of their competitors, which means that it could pose a problem when looking to hire employees.
That's true.
Yeah.
But let's see. In the case study under the dilemma, there's this one sentence that I'm trying to figure out. It says in the second paragraph under dilemma, it says, but it is one thing to change the kind of art in the hotels. Changing the process that seemed to finally join quality control and human resources at a perfect balance was something else entirely. I'm just trying to understand what it's trying to say by that.
Okay, so Brandon, earlier on in the case study, it talks about that so this particular Washington D.C. one is like they've never partnered with Millennium Partners before, and Millennium Partners did not like the artwork. Like they felt like it talks about the artwork, and it says that like other hotels had modernized. Okay, so it says that was not the only aspect of the new hotel that broke with tradition. It's on page 8, second from the bottom. It says, according to Collins, Millennium Partners took an active role in defining the interior spaces. We picked out all the art. You won't see one English hunting scene in this hotel, and it's been painful for the Ritz. Their competition is the Four Seasons, and the Ritz has been resting on its laurels. We're an English kind of hotel, and that's just not going to get it done in the 2000s. It's just not what people want. So for this new hotel, they were able to change the art, and now the Millennium Partners want to change the opening process. So that statement is referring to that.
Oh.
So they go from the art. And it sounds like they're trying to get them to be more like, you know, how we build temples. We build temples to bring in the culture or the setting of wherever the temple is, depending on, you know, the people and the environment. So it seems like, because I think Marriott even does that. Because if I go to the beach, everything there is beachy. The pictures are ocean and stuff like that. So I guess if you go to other places, I guess they want to make it feel like you're at home or you're in another, you know, that you are in another, like Lindsay said, that you are in another time in another place.
I don't want to stay at a hotel just to clean up after my own, you know. I want to be pampered.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, I know, Brandon, like, going off of that question about the art that you're trying to understand, like, if you go down a little bit farther, it says, so the next question is, should they change the amount of time spent training? And then it, like, if you're going to say keep it as it is, then one question you need to think about is, what should the $7 million investment buy from the Millennium Partners? So what do they get to buy with their $7 million that they invested into this Ritz-Carlton hotel? Do they only get to change the art, or do they get to buy more than that? That's kind of where that statement's going, Brandon.
Oh. I don't know. Sometimes I view change as a good thing, but also change can cause, especially with such a high-end hotel, can cause people to, I don't know, their everyday customers to decide not to go there anymore. Maybe people do go to the Ritz Carlton Hotel for the art. I don't know.
I don't really care about art myself. I care if there's a continental breakfast.
A swimming pool.
Yeah.
That's
Indoor
me.
and outdoor.
Yeah, with a hot tub.
Yeah.
Well, maybe through their partnership, it sounded like Ritz went through with the Secret Service to make sure they had like privacy and like security and stuff. I mean, I feel like Millennium Partners are going to get a good return on profit through their hotel being close to the White House and having these high-ranking diplomats and officials come visit and use their hotel. And I don't know, but yeah, why break something that's not broken, right? You know, they're trying to change so much, but it's like, it's obviously successful on its own. I don't know.
Why would you partner with a company just to come in and change it? Like, if you didn't like it, why didn't you just... You had to have researched more than their art before you decided to invest $7 million with them.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if they have a good reputation.
I mean, I don't spend $700 million on a good reputation until I've looked into it a little bit. I mean, I'm just saying. Maybe they didn't know all the ins and outs, but they come in and they want to change their whole training process that's worked. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm just turning my camera off because I have to move my computer around and things like that. Don't be offended, okay? I'm still here, though.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I think their investment, is the biggest thing. Is I think they're trying to control, the money that they invested, right? Like you were saying, Cindy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so at the end, on page 16 where it talks about the dilemma, the general manager, McBride, he's like, it says, McBride acknowledged that $7 million investment made by Millennium Partners in 6 Ritz-Carlton managed properties certainly gave them the right to voice his opinions. And that's where it says, but it's one thing to change the kind of art, but changing the process that seemed to finally join quality control and human resources in a perfect balance was something else entirely. And so then it says it was difficult to train new hires to meet the high expectations of Ritz-Carlton service standards in 7 days, but that's how they worked. So it's like the Millennium Partners want to change
The whole process.
And they're feeling like their investment they should get to, and Ritz-Carlton's a little like, but why?
So the problem isn't with the Ritz-Carlton. One of the problems is with a partner that wants to come in and doesn't understand that something's been working and they want to come in and change it up just because they want to make their profits faster.
Yeah.
So this is kind of leading on to our next topic, our discussion that we're supposed to have. The question is if McBride should lengthen the amount of time spent training their employees, because I think that's what the Millennium Partners wants to do, is extend the amount of training that's involved for the new hires. So I guess I'm supposed to ask you guys, like, who thinks that they should just keep their 7-day process as is, or if they should lengthen the process of training their employees because it's such a high-end hotel.
Have they had any complaints? They're not giving us any information. Have they had complaints about the employees because they're only got 7-day? Do you know what I mean? If it was a real issue, I would think McBride, being this top-notch guy, would have already figured it out. You know?
Well,
do they want to spend money on that or the artwork?
Well, what if they want to like start massage therapy for each person in each room? I don't think in 7 days I could learn how to be a professional massage therapist.
No, you just hire a professional masseuse.
Yeah, because Because that's cheap.
So I know in the case study it said that like this McBride, the general manager they chose, McBride, he's opened hotels and he's really good at doing the 7-day process and he's really good at opening the hotels, but they're worried about how long he can maintain momentum. So this is like a whole new type of complex, and so they're worried about how long can he maintain that momentum to keep the occupancy up. So how long do you think you can maintain momentum? You know, that kind of intense 7-day momentum. How long can you keep that up? And if you lengthen the time of training, could you still keep that up?
No, you would lengthen the training, and then you would open up at 80%.
Right. So can McBride, who's used to doing the 7-day training, he's done it. Can he do it? Could he keep the momentum to do it in a longer period of time? If we thought he should lengthen the stay, I mean that's something it says to look at.
Sure.
Sure, he's wonderful. He can do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it starts out as 21 days, right? And he's only taken 7 days to train. Why can't they use, what is it? I gotta do my math.
I think you're on the right thing. They have 21 days. They train for 7 days. Why don't they take half the staff and have half the staff stay in the hotel for like a night or two and have the other staff wait on them and then flip it. So maybe they can both experience and maybe be able to come back and say, oh, let's improve this, or I liked this, or seeing even how they want to do things. I don't know, because how else are you supposed to keep training and keep the enthusiasm that they present in those 7 days?
So have 14 days of training.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And part of that time, I think, Lindsay, that was a good idea. It's not going to make things more costly, will it?
If they're staying as guests for half of them are staying as guests while the other half serves and then they switch, I would imagine it's probably a little more costly, but...
They just don't get the monogram pillow.
That's the best part.
Brian, what do you think? You're just smiling.
I wouldn't mind a monogram pillowcase. I think I'd like to know how much it costs them, because they've got 400 employees. I'd like to know how much it costs them per day to train. Because if you double that, then you could put the numbers to the test and see if it would be worth it. Because they're paying 400 employees, whether they've got anybody in that hotel or whether they don't. So the sooner they open the hotel, even at 50% occupancy, the sooner they can turn a profit. I don't know.
So, did you look at Exhibit 13 with all of the, budget? That pep rally cost $5,000.
That's not much.
And didn't they give chocolates to the people that did get hired?
I'm just saying it's for a pep rally. I know high schools do it for less than that.
Maybe he just needs to revamp what they do in the 21 days. But I don't think he's trying to save money. He's got $700 million, right?
Might as well spend it.
Well, maybe the Millennium Partners want to understand where they're going with the money, right? Like, if you've invested your money, are you happy to see $5,000 pep rally?
If you got $700 million,
Exhibit 13, the very last page, it's that says it's the pre-opening budget. That's before they've even opened. $3,500,000 before they've opened.
What do you say to 3 shillings?
That's probably what he carries around in his pocket change, though. I mean, when you got $700 million,
You don't pay attention to where it goes?
Well, it's like those guys in the NFL and the NBA. You know, they'll tell you before they win in they had no money, and then now they carry 20 grand as pocket change just in case. I mean, when they fine them 50,000, if you look at the statistics on what they make versus if they get fined to $50,000, that's more than us paying a speeding ticket. Or I mean, less than us paying a speeding ticket based on their income. It's really nothing. $5,000 for this guy you wouldn't even notice it.
But it can be seen
I
as
guess
an
that's true.
investment. That's a tax write-off. It's like taking somebody out to dinner and saying it's business related. It is business related because they feel that they're putting back into their employees. So I'm sure that $5,000 is, like I said, a tax deduction.
So I mean, I guess I have the same question as Brian then. Like, it would be nice to know what it's costing per day for this 7 days, because this pre-opening budget is huge. Is this only for the 7 days, or is this like to get the whole place open? Like page 30, like it kind of, if it's only the 7 days, I mean, I don't know if you want to extend it to spend more money. I mean, there's little stars that say that it's part of the 7-day countdown, and then it says, so the presentation costs, the trainers, they spend 40,000 on trainers for the 7 days, and then it has like a whole bunch of like the chef's table, the employee cafeteria, the food shows, and it says half of that is part of the 7 days. So 15,000.
If we figure they're getting paid on average $15 an hour, you have 400 employees for 7 days at 8 hours a day. That's $336,000.
Oh, that's less than $500,000, you know?
Yeah.
If their budget's that big. You know, I know it seems absurd to spend that type of money on orientation, but I think it's the whole culture thing. You know, they want a certain precedence and culture. It's like with all these startups and tech companies, you know, offering free family dinners or free babysitting and all this other stuff that they do now, you know, just to make the employee happy. It's like, you know, there's the cost benefit. You know, yeah, they're shelling out some money, but the reward of the employees focusing and doing their job really well, I guess, is better than the money spent, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, if it's a rope, don't fix it.
Well, it does say on here.
Don't fix it.
It does say on this agility learning at the expense of your customers. I guess that's a legitimate argument for extending it.
I say leave it.
I agree.
Leave the 7 days. I
Yeah.
agree.
I say 21 days.
I say 7 days.
Hey,
Why, Brandon?
because I looked at this little chart over here on exhibit number 7, and it says the Ritz-Carlton post-opening training and development program. The total training hours of line staff is 174 hours. And so I was just thinking, if 174 hours and I divided that by 21 days, and you get about 8 hours a day of training.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And then and I was like, 8 hours a day of training sounds good to me. It's like the MTC all over again. So I was just thinking that, like, I don't know how they do the training hours and how they like get all that in the 7 days. I don't know if I'm understanding this chart correctly. or if they need to have them all trained within the 7 days, or if that 174 hours total training hours is spread out.
I think it's spread out because it starts out and it has like phase 1 and it says hotel orientation, part of the 7-day countdown, and then training 120 begins during the 7-day, and then by day 21 they've had at least 4 hours or something. So I think it's part of it overall.
They've had more than 7 days.
Yeah, if you look at that second item, they have 120 hours. It starts during the 7-day countdown, but it doesn't all happen during the 7-day countdown.
Right. So that's what he should say. They're already getting more training.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Leave the countdown and then extended training or extend that training.
The Lord created heaven and earth in 7 days.
He rested on the
Even,
one.
see, we can even go down to 6 days.
Well, let's just cut it then.
Maybe that's why it's 7 days, since it's owned by Marriott. You are under the Brandon.
Yeah. Yep. All the Marriotts have a Book of Mormon inside of them.
I really gotta stay at more places, clearly.
Anybody stayed in Ritz?
No, they don't have one of those in Utah.
You can read your Book of Mormon on your monogram pillow.
We do have a Grand America, but that's about it. But I've only walked through that. I'm pretty sure I could barely afford to do that.
We should email Brother Sands and see if we can get extra credit if we all go live in it.
We have to stay in Ritz.
If we really get into the case studies enough that we go stay at the places and eat at the places. Like, I mean, Brian, you haven't even eaten at Noodles and Company yet, have you?
No. I've never even seen one.
Don't waste your
So
time.
I was on a
You're fine.
I was on a date with a girl in Idaho Falls here in Idaho, and we had passed by a Noodles and Company. I like freaked out, and she thought I was so crazy. I was like, "There's a Noodles and Company. I wrote a case study about this." She's like, "You're weird." So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to talk about Noodles and Company again.
Probably not.
Let's see. Okay, keep this ball rolling.
How about this little ditty?
Different types who wear a knit coat, pants with stripes, or cutaway coat, perfect.
Are you watching TV while on a broadcast, Steve?
I guess you haven't seen that scene from Young Frankenstein. Anyway, they're singing "Putting on the Ritz." I thought it was appropriate.
Oh.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Okay, just to let everyone. Okay. What principles, if any, form this lesson's reading of what? There's a typo.
I think
What
it's supposed
principles,
to
if
say
any, what principles, if any, from this lesson's reading apply to this case? Meaning the dysfunctions of a team. Okay, hold on. The phone's ringing.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
So I think on page 179 of the reading, they're talking about they're trying to figure out so the other, like, they have the chance to buy that other company, acquire that other company, or to be sold, and so then they decide that it says they want to know if we want to be here. if we're really committed to the company and to each other. I think that would have a lot to do with this 7-day training. Like, and if you have a boss telling you that you have to go get groomed and know how to do your hair and nails and stuff, that's part of a way of deciding if you really are committed to the company, right? I mean, look at teenagers in your ward. If you go and tell them to cut their hair, tuck their shirt in, anything like that, right? You know the ones that are in and the ones that are out instantly. Like, take your hat off in the building. I mean, you can like get them, they're done. So you're going to be committed to this company if you're going to go through their 7-day thing and be groomed by them and taught by them, or you're out. I think that's one principle, is like what their commitment is.
A lack of focus.
I think you're onto something, Sydney. You know, I think that if you have to be wanting it, right? You know, you have to want to be able to groom yourself and hold yourself to those high standards if you want that job. Otherwise, you're not going to be a good fit for them, and they're not a good fit for you.
Yeah, like there's a couple of examples. Like if my in-laws, when I had this job, I did data entry from home, and when I quit, when I stopped doing data entry from home, I was supposed to take my computer into the company, and they wanted to delete their program off my computer. I couldn't do it. My husband couldn't do it. I literally had to take my computer, and so my mother-in-law was asking a question about the schedule for the week or something, and I was like, well, I've got to take my computer in to have the program deleted. And she's like, you don't owe them anything. You do not owe that company anything. You do not have to do that. And I was like, if I ever want to work there again, I do have to do this. And so there's just a lot of entitlement with companies and people. Like, they think they're entitled to all this stuff. And I think Marriott's kind of showing, hey, this, or not Marriott, sorry, Ritz-Carlton, they're like showing, this is what we expect of you. Are you willing to do it or not? Because this is our expectation, and I think they're very upfront about what that expectation is, and you can decide if you're committed or not.
Crossing lines with the pilot. This one.
Well, another principle that we're talking about this week is service, right? So seems like that's one thing that they do really well, like we were talking about earlier. But they're into the details of how, you know, they can go forward and do the best service for the most important or least important, but to them they make it a big deal.
Yeah.
Next question.
Oh, sweet. Sorry, the phone rang.
You're supposed to research the case and tell us how it turned out, Brandon.
Oh yeah, I was researching it, and then I lost internet connection, and that's why I lost you guys for a while there. Let me see. Shoot, I don't know. Okay, here we go.
They lived happily ever after.
That's what I was gonna say.
With the monograph pillows.
Well, they built the thing back in, what, 2000, 2001, so...
Sheesh.
I'm guessing it did pretty good because it looks like there's 3 Ritz-Carltons in DC now.
Oh yeah, that makes
Oh.
sense.
I have found the site where you can solve your case if you sign up and pay money. um,
I need a free
Yeah.
one.
I think that there's still a hotel that do really well. I would just have to agree with Brian on this one.
Me too.
Oh, they haven't gone bankrupt. They're doing just fine.
At least that's what it looks like on the news.
Let's see. The quote of the day by Forbes is, "Without memory, there is no culture. Without memory, there would be no civilization, no society, no future," by Ellie Weasley. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
It was just an ad as I was waiting to get to the case study. They said they updated their customer service style. Huh. Okay, well. If you guys want, I can send you the link to this news article, but I don't think it have much information.
Yeah, I think we're good. I don't think it'll help our case studies.
Okay. Any last comments?
No, I thought we did a good job to this week.
So is next week the last case study, or is there one more after that?
Next week is the last one.
Yay.
I
Darn.
think. I mean, if the schedule's right. So, like, you know, I messed because the schedule wasn't right, but it says case study is the negotiating on thin ice that Brandon's all ready for. And then week 14, it just says final presentation submission and presentation of the accountability project. So I don't know who we meet with to do that, but maybe we meet to talk about our accountability projects. But no more case studies after next week.
Oh. What can I do for you?
Oh,
Okay.
Case study.
he gives them technical service.
Yeah.
Is this for a trip that you're going to be taking?
I'm sorry?
Is this for a trip?
No, I work here
All
currently.
right. Well, do you guys think we need to talk about
But
anything
like,
else, or
is it
should we
like
go?
a gas credit card or just a gas key to fill up the pump up here?
Do you know how to get the link?
Okay.
Oh, I
I don't know if Brandon knows how to get the link or not. He's the one that's gonna have to do it because he recorded it.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe we better wait a minute.
Yeah. Make sure he does the link. So, have you guys? What are your 3 problems going to be for this? I mean, aside from the fact that the one company wants to have them change their plan.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
I'm just excited for school to be done and us have a break until the next semester. Where are you guys at in your, like, schooling? Is this your last semester? Do you have more to go?
I've got a whole nother year.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 classes that I'm scheduled for in the fall, and then 1 scheduled for in the winter. So I should graduate next April.
Awesome.
I have one class. I graduate this month, but I have one class in the fall. It's a prereq for an MBA program that I'm going to be trying to get into in the fall.
Oh, good for you. That's awesome.
How about you?
I have just 4 classes left. I'm going to do 3 next semester and then 1 the winter semester.
Cool.
Have you
So
always
close.
done 3, or is that just you're gonna try it?
I usually try to do 3 or 4, but the extensive group work in these classes makes it so much harder to do more classes. You know, I feel like it takes more time and being away from you. But yeah, I do about 3. I want to be done.
Yeah. I've only done 2 every time, and that's pretty brutal, honestly.
It is. I know. It's super brutal. I wouldn't be able to with my time schedule I have now, so I just take advantage.
Yeah. So, Brian, I remember you said that you were taking like 16 credit hours to get done because your wife was going to kill you if it took any longer. So, how does she feel about MBA program?
Well, I wanted to. It's only once I get that prereq done, it's only 10 additional classes. So I just wanted to do 5 and 5 and be done. But we came to an agreement that I'd just take 2 per quarter. So that's going to take a couple years, I guess. So I'm going to take 1 prereq in the fall, and I'm going to try and take 1 of the MBA courses. I have to take the GMAT to see if they'll accept me. Everything else out there, but I've never taken it.
Nice. So you'll just do 2. You'll just do 2 at a time, so you don't get killed.
Yeah, basically.
Good idea. Good idea.
Well, what do we think? Should we call it or what?
Well, he's the one that has to turn it off, so if we're not here, then I guess it doesn't matter, and I'm sure if he doesn't know, we can send him an email. Oh, there you go. Brian took care of it.
Good job, Brian.
We'll see if he respected.
If he even reads it, huh?
I'll tell you guys, while we're sitting here, I stayed at a place called the Davenport in Spokane. It's actually owned by Marriott now. They just bought it, I think, 2 years ago. It's not a Ritz-Carlton, but it's a pretty sweet hotel. I mean, it's all valet parking, which I hate. I hate tipping those guys. But when you go into your room, if you call the front desk, when they answer, they either say, "Hi, hello, Mr. Evans," if they know you're alone. "Hello, Mr. Evans, how can we help you?" Or, I mean, they always know who you are. Or, how's the Evans party doing? If they know you've got people with you. And one time I forgot my toothbrush, so I called down there to see if I could get a toothbrush. And they sent somebody up, and they didn't just bring a toothbrush, floss and some toothpaste, and this whole little packet of stuff. And that's kind of the whole experience I think that Ritz is trying to do. It's not just give you what you expect, it's give you 10 times more than what you're expecting. When you leave, you're just pretty.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, Brandon, you know how to post the link?
Yeah, I do. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks. See you next week.
Yeah.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.